storming into this house yelling at Michelle. Michelle didn't take that very kindly. So, yeah, there's a video of that. So you definitely need to go look into this if you've never heard this case at all. There's so much that happened.
Here on Buckhalter. And it says babysitter up here, and I've called her the babysitter, but really you'll hear from Michelle, one of her daughters. And it comes across more like they're almost like a second family or a substitute family for these kids. Because of the parental shortcomings at 535 Buckhalter. So the evidence might show that the babysitter kind of undersells it a little bit. And the child care arrangement is this. At this point in time, Danny and the defendant are working at a warehouse in Port Wentworth, unloading, loading boxes. They're carrying boxes in the warehouse in Port Wentworth. And their shift starts at 6 a.m. They're working the 6 a.m. shift. So early in the morning, on the way to work, they'll drop off 3 children with Michelle, with her 2 teenage daughters. And so they do that. And they both go to work. They clock in at essentially the exact same time, a little after 6 a.m. on October 4th. Now they clock out less than 2 hours later. And the reason they do that is the defendant is experiencing some kind of dental issue. She has a tooth that's bothering her, and it needs to come out. And so they clock out right around 8 o'clock, just before 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I forgot about
and they
that.
go to...
I forgot about the tooth being pulled, because a lot of people use that as an excuse for what she did. Like said that she was drugged or something from the tooth being pulled, and that's why she did what she did. I'm sure that's what her defense is going to use as an excuse.
Some type of like emergency dental clinic or walk-in dental clinic. And she gets a tooth pulled. These are some pictures, selfies she took of herself in the dentist chair. And you can see the side of her mouth on the left side there, I think, is kind of swollen. She sent these to Daniel, Young, and Danny, who was sitting out in the waiting room waiting for her. And so after this, they do not go back to work. They go home. And the rest of the waking hours of the day are pretty normal. They get some lunch. They relax. Her mouth is bothering her. She's tired. She's sore. And eventually at about 4:30 in the afternoon, they go and they pick up the 3 kids from the babysitter from Michelle, and they bring them home. So at that point, Danny, the defendant, and the 3 kids are in the house. Now Paul, he worked at the same warehouse, but he worked a later shift, and you'll hear what it is. It's something like 2 p.m. to late at night, around 10 or so. That was Paul's shift. So same place, different shift. So he's not there in the afternoon. Now they're there, they do dinner, they do bath time, they put the kids down. Quinton in his pack and play. I think you hear testimony or a statement from the defendant that Sky, the infant, slept on that couch that we looked at, and Zane in a race car bed. And I think it'll be undisputed, I expect that it'll be undisputed that, at around 10 p.m., Quinton is fine. He's just in his crib, in his pack and play for bedtime. Okay? And what happens at this point sets off a chain of events that goes over the next couple hours and results in tragedy. And that is that the defendant and Daniel have yet another argument about how he's treating her. So sometime a little after 10 p.m. And that this is something she told to detectives eventually in some of her interviews. About how he doesn't want her, he doesn't want to touch her, he's not feeling desire for her like he used to. And we've already talked about this is a major trigger for her. This is the biggest emotional issue going on in her life, and it's significant. It drove her to the brink in the video that you